Although so far I think I'm going to more or less upload this raw. I don't think I'm going to like do too much editing of this. Okay, so here, this one is, so you want to clear, you get some prompts here, so clear those, and you can like immediately open, oh, I guess not. I thought you could open Merchant of Menace before it even starts to fade in. Maybe you can, but anyway, you can open Merchant of Menace really quickly. You know, it's just, you just press right arrow, down arrow, A, A. You can be really quick here. It's just left, down, A. And that'll get you your demo drop. Just throw it straight. And then as it's in the air, I like to aim right at the press truck. And that'll get, now this one's definitely open to probably improvement opportunities, or, you know, you can do this your own way. Again, you want to control the spawn of the helicopter. You don't want it to collide with the mountains behind you in a bad way. You don't want it to be too high or too low. I would probably argue that, look how high it is, right? I would argue that this strat I do is probably not the best way. I should probably get out of this habit, find something else to do here, because he's always very high up, and I usually don't have a problem with it, but it probably wastes a couple seconds, so, or at least, you know, maybe 1 second. Anyway, pretty simple, just get this. We don't want the Mafia helicopter though, so we're gonna go swap it. You just fly over these mountains here. Right over here, there's two North Korean helicopters. I always go for the one on the left because it is a geometrically more optimal. Just it is objectively less distance you're traveling. Oh, kind of a fun strat here. I don't like dealing with the chance of this soldier that's sitting here getting into the helicopter at all. So I always just land on him. I just take him out. So that's something you can maybe do. Another thing I just thought of, I always turn on faction flags. If you know where the officers are in the game, there is no reason, in my opinion, not to always have on faction flags, because it helps you aim so much. Like, it's oftentimes very hard to see the tiny little NPCs, like, you know, in the dirt, you know, especially if you're in like a helicopter. But if you use faction flags, it makes it a lot easier. Oh, how do you turn it on? No way, dude. You just press the left button on the D-pad. You just press the left button on the D-pad, and that'll turn on the faction flags. That's crazy that you didn't know how to do that. Wow. I guess it's never instructed in the game. You just tap the left. You can turn them on and off. You just press the left button. It's just a toggle. Wow, that's crazy. I did that all the time when I was a kid. I didn't realize it was such an elusive feature. I mean, they never tell you how to do it, but I just assumed there were enough times when you would press that button on accident or something, and then... Wow, that's wild. I wish I had mentioned that earlier in the thing, earlier in the stream. Maybe I'll literally put this clip at the beginning of the stream, just to... I will say, so the first contract, I wish I'd mentioned it, but Anti-Up has faction flags on by default. I don't know why. I don't know what they were trying to do with that, but the faction flags are on during Anti-Up. You can turn them off if you want, but you don't need to turn them on during Anti-Up. You need to turn them on after. You need to turn them on anytime the game loads. What we're going to do here is... Tax evasion would be faster here, but I don't do it. I might start doing it. It's not as consistent. We want to get the South Koreans to the point where they are at 45 or lower reputation points. So I'm going to do kind of a more traditional strat where I'm going to bribe them, because they're almost always going to be hostile with you. If you get really, really lucky during Omerta, and I have had this happen during a world record run, but not in this run. If you get really lucky, you will not take faction losses during Omerta with South Korea because the game is terrible with the witness system. And in that case, you can, if you understand the faction system well enough, you can get the South Koreans to the exact mood you need them via blueprints and killing civilians and stuff, just by going through the run, and then you don't need to do any of these shenanigans, and that saves a decent amount of time. But that's extremely rare and not really a strat. It's more of something that can just happen. So what I do here is I bribe them, and then I kill 3 civilians, and you need all 3 kills to count. It happens more like fairly often that, like, especially right here. So I kill this guy and then I kill that guy really quickly afterward. And there's no individual indication that I have gotten a faction drop for both of these kills. But what I find is easiest is like this spot with the mood. I have a piece of tape here and then I like a line drawn to show me, just to make sure it's at the right spot. Again, minor convenience. You don't really need to do that. It's just sometimes the kill for the civilians, especially if you're killing them quickly, just doesn't count. I don't get it. I don't know why that happens. It's kind of annoying. And it's just a dumb way to lose a run. So, okay, so you want a head start pretty much like, I don't know, 8 o'clock there. This contract's pretty easy. No, I just have those 2 pieces of tape, but yeah, they're kind of, it's kind of annoying because like at this point I just leave them on. I used to put them on and take them off when I did runs, but I got to a point where I was doing runs enough where I just left them on. So now they're like, even when I watch movies and stuff, there's tape. You can barely see it. Honestly, it's not that big of a deal. Okay, so this contract's pretty easy. There is some RNG here. So what you want to do, I'm rewinding because what you want to do is you want to keep an eye on the road. You want to keep an eye on the road the entire time you're flying over here. So you can kill a civilian or an SK soldier at the end of this, but it's better if you kill an SK soldier. And I'll explain why in a second, but keep an eye on here. So at this point, I'm like, okay, what are my prospects? This car, he's too far away. He's not a good prospect. This car is good. This is a really good prospect here. That's my plan A. Flying. And okay, look, there's another. Okay, that's a Mafia truck. That's no good. Oh, what's that? That is a South Korean Humvee. That is now my #1 target. That's what I want to hit. So I'm going to come over here. I'm going to lock on. I'm locked on like here, right? And you're going to come in, and as soon as you get the lock on, go ahead and fire that. The reason you want to kill the South Koreans is sometimes, especially if there are South Koreans on the road, sometimes blowing up the KIFE will kill the Mafia soldier standing next to the KIFE. And sometimes that will count as your kill, and sometimes the South Koreans will witness you killing that guy, and that will sometimes bump your mood up and make it so that you can't do a warp with only a civilian, because a civilian's only -5 points. So you're much better off killing, and I don't think I got the mood boost here. No, I didn't. You're much better off killing the South Korean guy in the gunner seat or the driver's seat, it doesn't really matter, for -20 points than you are for killing a civilian for 5 points. How do I time it so well? How do I time the lock-on for the missile, or how do I time the... Because all the cars on the road are RNG. You'll almost always get a civilian or a South Korean though, so it's not the RNG is not bad. You just need to make sure you have you're paying attention to it basically. All right, so at the start of every South Korean contract after this, they add in these sandbags. It's like something that happens after Repo Man. I always jump right at the start when I come in here. So I still head start toward like 8 o'clock, but I jump almost immediately so I get over the sandbags. All right, so this contract is, I think, probably the toughest in the game to get right. Although saying that, it's usually not where I lose runs. It's usually the jack. It's usually the jack of clubs where I lose runs. But this one's very tough. So you fire one missile at this guy, that'll blow it up. Then you come up here, you get ammo. Come over here, shoot this guy. Then you want to fly over to the left and shoot that guy. And again, I'm using the tape here to aim. You can otherwise switch to your chain gun to get a better reticle, and then switch back to fire. Oh, I see. I missed. Look at that. I missed. Oh, I hope I have. This is actually where my biggest time loss was in my record video. Yeah, it looks like I got it here. So, so there we go. There's that shot, and I hit it here. Then you kind of want to fly over to like this area. You don't want to get too close, too far north, because there's a Chinese anti-air armor unit that can fire SAM missiles, and it's not, or whatever, anti-air missiles. It's not that dangerous, but it's just something, it just makes it very stressful, this contract, rather than like taking your time here to line this one up. So you want to line that up This is really frustrating to do on YouTube. Oh, I guess I could watch this in like half speed or something. Let's do 75% speed. So line this up and make sure you get this one right. This one is, and then as soon as you fire that missile, start peeling back, turn around, and see how I start firing? I'm already firing my chain gun because I want to get the gun, the acceleration up on the fire rate. So I'm gonna come over here and I'm gonna kill this journalist during the fade out, and I'm already like, I killed that allied officer. Wasn't even aiming for him. I think it's a lot easier to get these kills down if you're already firing the chain gun and you're like going quickly here. So I do get him, and that is the most optimal way to do this contract, and that is extremely difficult to do. It takes a lot of practice. So in this case, because I missed one of them, and I'm now down one tank missile. I don't have the option to do that strat, so I have to go to the backup strat. There is a safe strat, and that is to go pick up the journalist before you do that final tent. So come down here, pick him up, and sorry, I'm trying to make it go faster, but I'm making it go slower. Just bring him back up here. I usually just leave him in. Did I leave him in? Yeah. Oh no, I got him out. Okay, I got him out of the helicopter, and then you just shoot him. He's just a civilian, so shooting him should always count. But you just need to fire one AT missile at that tent, and then shoot him, and you're good to go for the warp. Make sure you don't shoot him before the fade out. Make sure you get this right here. This when it goes to widescreen, or whatever. That's when you want to shoot him. So yeah, that's the thing. Like so that's another one. So I think I've said 2 strats so far that I would recommend beginners do the safe strats instead. This is a third one. I highly recommend new runners just do the safe strat. You're only gonna save 10 to 15 seconds, I think, doing that contract the safe way. I wasted more time than that in my record video because, so I'm gonna waste like, oh no, see I wasted, yeah, I wasted more than that because I paused. I was like, oh, what do I do? Like there was a moment when I just was frozen because I didn't know what to do. It was like right here, or hold on. Right here I was like, oh, wait a minute. And I kind of stopped. And then I was like, then I came back here for ammo, and then I was like, wait, there's no ammo. I was like, I didn't know what to do, right? But if I was thinking on my toes, I would have just immediately gone for the journalist and then finished this one off. It doesn't waste that much time to just get the journalist. The Jack of Clubs safe strat? No. I don't recommend the Jack of Clubs safe strat. There is a safe strat for Jack of Clubs. I do not recommend it. The 3 I recommend are the 3-point fling, this one, and gee, what is the third one? Oh, the tutorial skips. That's right. The tutorial skips in South Korea. All right, this one, same head start strat. We're not going to fly directly toward the objective here. We need to go get a journalist so that we can do a warp with a civilian. You could bring a South Korean soldier, and that would be a little faster. But the problem is it is virtually impossible to not that soldier would not get aggroed by North Koreans where you're going. So your warping would be, I think it would be extremely inconsistent. So I would highly recommend you just go for the journalist. I don't even do I don't even know if I've ever really even tried to do a soldier because just the thought of that sounds terrible. See how quick that was though? So I just come over, I'm barely off trajectory. I'm off by just a few degrees of where I should be flying. And I come down here, and what you want to do is you just land in a safe spot, honk your horn. This will trigger the journalist to try to get in your vehicle, and then just get up in the air. He will just teleport up and get in, and then you can fly away. So that's the easiest way to pick him up. You don't need to land like right next to him or anything. Other than that, fly really high here. You want to get a disguise before you fly over all the area with the SAM turrets. So just get really high up, and you should be able to get a disguise no problem. Then you can fly low again if you want. Admire the scenery. So here what you're going to do is, there's an ammo crate somewhere around here. We need 3 AT missiles to blow up the reactor. But you need to fire to the left side of the building. So I use this, there's a tree here. I usually try to aim a little bit right of the tree. You don't aim so far right that you miss the building, but if you aim left, what happens is, and I think this is because there are North Korean troops on this catwalk of the building, you almost always lose your disguise if you shoot at the left side of the building. I don't know exactly why, because in theory, shooting a faction-aligned building at all should aggro whatever. Like if you shoot the Mafia HQ, or not shoot it, but if you throw like a frag at it, you'll aggro the troops in the area. Like they'll be like, hey, stop that, right? So this being a faction-aligned building, maybe it's not. Like maybe it's just not a faction-aligned building, but in theory this should aggro the North Koreans. But because I hit it over here where there are not troops, there are troops over here. I think because of that, for some reason, it just doesn't, I don't know. So anyway, that's how we keep our disguise here. That's very, very important. If you lose your disguise, it's basically game over. You have to basically get out of here, get a disguise, and come back. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to do anything. So then you just land right here. Leave the journalist in the helicopter. You don't want him getting out because he will just run all over. He'll try to film everything, and it's just not good. So you can smack this guy right when he gets out the door, which can be pretty funny, and just, get him. First thing you want to do, as usual, call in the Blackhawk. The angle here, it looks like I got him in a pretty good spawn. You can see him up there. He's got a pretty clear area. Sometimes I don't know, what angle did I use here? It looks like I just tried to go for a vertical north-south thing. I think typically I actually call him at more of like an angle like this, but he can collide with, there's some like mountains over here, and he can collide with, sorry, I mean over here. There's some mountains like to the left of where my cursor is, and if he collides with those, he can crash land. So anyway, now what you want to do, blow up this SAM, blow up this tank, and blow up this other SAM in that order. Then what you want to do, which I don't think I do here, you really, oh, I do it. Okay, good. You really want to kill this gunner. You don't need to kill both of them. Just kill that one. He is an absolute, I hate that guy. He always, I don't know what it is about this contract. I don't know if there's like people behind the building that for some reason he can see and he shoots through or what. He always blows up my helicopter and the journalist with it. He always just like shoots over here. I don't know why he does it. I've tried parking in different spots. He just always seems to shoot at my helicopter and blow it up. It is brutal. You can just destroy the Southwest AA and land like normal. That's true. Yeah, you can just do that. That's true. That's true. You could do that. That's a good point. So kill that gunner, get out, shoot the journalist, and you should be good to go. Do not, for a while, I was using my AT missile to blow up the helicopter because I was like, that's easier, right? That's got to be the easier way to do this. I don't even need to aim. I just blow it up. Well, for some reason, that does not consistently give you it does not consistently count as you killing the civilian and like doesn't lower your reputation with factions. I don't know why. Yeah, I'm just going to leave it at that. I don't know why. I don't know why it is like that, but use your rifle. It's a little tougher, but the helicopter the whole thing is bullet penetrable. Unlike like the Blackhawk, if I used my carbine on the Blackhawk pilot, I couldn't get him. But if I used my sniper, I could. So like the Blackhawk is impervious to sniper rounds, but not, impervious to assault rifle rounds, but not sniper rounds. These scout helicopters, you can shoot through them with anything. You shoot through them with a shotgun. So it's pretty easy to get this guy, even if you don't have like the perfect angle. Yeah, so you said you always lose your disguise in that mission. You should, like, I never lose my disguise in that mission. If you fire at the right spot in the building, you shouldn't lose your disguise. Okay, here we go. This contract is, we're now in Spades. We're almost done. You're going to fly mostly north. You're going to be a little slightly off pitch. You want to get a North Korean disguise, but you got to be careful. I'm flying pretty high, because these South Korean helicopters in this area are really dangerous. So you do want a North Korean disguise. It's not necessary. It's a nice to have, but just make sure you're not flying low, or those South Korean helicopters will mess you up. Okay, so you're just gonna fly over here. There's this soldier on the left. This guy right here. He has a Stinger missile. if you want to play it really safe, you can take him out, which I think I do. Yeah, I do. Usually at this point in the run, you're going to start playing things a little safer. Anyway, then you come over here, get this number card. You want to use stuns here because you're so close to your helicopter. And then I usually just peel back. I'm actually not really going that optimal of a direction here. I think I might start peeling back the other direction so that the guy's over here, right? So you want to kind of just fly as directly as possible to him. Don't worry about there's a Chinese anti-air unit here. Don't worry about it. Once you fly like here, you're out of their territory. And you should be friendly with the Chinese right now. So it won't target you. Even though it's red, it won't target you. And then you'll fly back into the territory, but he can't see you up here. Just get the guy in. Don't do what I did, which is I almost ran him over. We call this Banter's Uber because the guy is like, who the hell are you? And then he just gets in. And it's even better that I like bonked him. And then there's nothing fancy here. You just fly back. So I know I said that that's why we called it Banter's Uber. I don't think I actually explained anything by saying that. Oh, you can see here. So the head starting is like pretty easy to do in South Korea's headquarters, but I really messed it up here. Like, look at this. I'm walking way, way too far to the right for the optimal angle here. And we don't do a warp. Oh, actually, it's something worth mentioning here. Okay, so something to note here. This guy gets out automatically. You don't need to get him out. So he's actually going to be getting out before you. So as soon as you get out of your helicopter, switch your weapon. I actually waited a little bit there, and you see, because I waited, I could be doing a payment screen skip right now, but because I waited, I gotta wait. Now I can do it, right? Because I'm starting to grab my anti-tank missile. So as soon as you get out of your helicopter, you want to be swapping your weapons so that you can do a payment screen skip here. It's like right here, you should swap, and then do a payment screen skip, and then go into the HQ and start the next contract. We don't warp out of that one because you had to get that number card, and the number card would be reset if you did a warp. We're going to fly back over to China. Oh, so this is something I started to do. So I used to get a different soldier. There's a lot of South Korean soldiers between here and China that you can pick up. I have found that it's easiest and fastest to just get this guy. So when you get in, just honk the horn. As soon as you get in, he'll start to run toward you, and then just hover just gently here. You don't want to go too high up. If you go too high up, he'll get scared away. So just go just a tiny bit up so that you can turn around and get a bit of a head start. But, you know, take your time with that. Let him get in. There are some SK Elites here. You could get one of them in as well. I am shooting 2 soldiers, which is -40 reputation points because the last contract gave us +40 reputation points. So you need to kill 2 South Korean soldiers in order to get a warp on this one. And then you can do the warp with a soldier or a civilian. But the thing is, there's no journalists on this contract. The journalists stop spawning in during Spades contracts. Oh wow, the sunset outside is crazy right now. It looks so cool. Anyway, actually, I'm going to take a picture real quick. Sorry. Okay. So you're flying over here. You don't want your North Korean disguise at all because of this this guy will shoot missiles at you otherwise. Now, granted, as soon as you come into this territory, he's going to target you anyway. So like right now, he's targeting me. But you can usually, first of all, one SAM shot is not going to destroy your helicopter. So don't panic too much. Just take a clean shot here. You have 2 chances because you got 2 missiles. You need to get that radar jammer. And then I always land right here. I land right next to this box on the corner because I haven't like tested any other ways. This works. I don't care to change my strat if it works. The reason I do this, the reason I started doing this is because this, I feel like, provides some obstruction between the South Korean soldier and all the Chinese soldiers over here. So he's not going to get aggroed because he can't see any of them. That's the theory anyway. I don't know if that's actually what's going on, but the witness system in this game is really weird. But yeah. So, all right. Somebody asked about how I aim it. At the bridge. Yeah, I mean, pretty much. That's actually pretty much going to be my answer. So currently I'm aiming here. I'm not aiming at any specific point. It does not matter. I always aim at the base of the bridge. I'm pretty sure you can aim at the support structures too. You just want to make sure you're aiming at part of the bridge that is A, spawned in. So if I aim any further right than this, I don't think the bridge is actually, I think it's outside of the draw distance. So make sure, one, that it's actually like visible, and two, I aim for the base. I always aim for the base of the bridge because I just feel like it's more liable to miss if you aim at the support structures. But you can do that too. And the reason I'm not aiming more left is because there's this artillery gun in the way, right? So this little range here, this is usually where I aim. You aim at the tape. You want to hold this down the entire time. I didn't do it here because I don't know why I didn't do it here. You should hold this down until he drops the bomb, which usually means it's when this thing starts blinking, you know, it makes a little sound and it blinks. Otherwise, yeah, it'll miss. It'll miss a lot. I think that's just because of how far away you are. But anyway, then you got a decent amount of time here. Just get back in your helicopter, hover here. I actually pulled back quite a bit, which is bad because I think the SAM turret can target me. Yeah, so I'm actually getting targeted by the SAM, which is my own stupid fault. And then you just shoot him with your chain gun and you're good to go. I don't actively do anything to prevent... Oh, you're green now. I don't do anything to actively prevent the Chinese from coming over to where the South Korean is. There are physical barriers, like so like right here, they can't get past this. So like these guys over here aren't going anywhere. They can't. And then there's really not like anyone on the road. There's like usually like a tank on the road. There's not like soldiers on the road. So you don't need to, or even if there are, I guess what I'm saying is I don't do anything to make, other than what I just talked about, like it usually just works. I usually don't have a problem with that contract. So yeah, that's a really good point, Banter. That fade out just be patient. That fade out takes a long time to trigger. So don't kill that guy too early. All right, this contract, this is another really tough part in the run. Fly over here. There is a SAM turret here, and it sometimes targets you, and it sometimes doesn't. Usually about right here, this is where you know. If it's not making the ding or whatever, you know, and it's not locking on, you're probably good. And in this case, I was good, and I just flew forward, and I just went on with my life. If it does target you, just blow it up. Like, you know, get out, like maybe hide behind a tree or something like that, or go under the mountain, pop back up, shoot it, then carry on. I always bank on it not shooting me. I find that it doesn't shoot more often than it does shoot. So yeah, anyway. So this number card is a little tough. You have to shoot her as early as possible. You really, really want to get her before she comes over to this area. And then there's also these 2 AA armor units. Like whether or not they hit you is just RNG. So like sometimes you get lucky, sometimes you don't. I got really, really lucky here. I'm at 100 health. So I land right next to her, throw a stun grenade. Make sure you have your stuns. By the way, I think the entire run you want your stuns equipped, except for anytime after foothold, I believe, you can change to stuns and always leave it as stuns. I'm pretty sure. Don't quote me on that, but... Alright, so you can use the stun block strat here if you want. Which is like, so I threw a stun to get this guy, and then right there, so that right there, that would have stunned me. And if I did stun block, that'll freeze up all the AI in the area, which is kind of a nice, like, you know, it's a nice to have. It helps you make a clean getaway, but sometimes you don't need it. Like right here, I'm at 98 health going away from that, right? So like, you know, you can make clean getaways without relying on stun block. I think that is probably the hardest number card in the entire game to get. So, you know, again, if you die there or whatever, like that's not really a rip. Like you could probably die there, restart the contract, and be, you know, not waste too much time. You could lose your helicopter and get another helicopter and probably not waste too much time. Yeah, that one's tough. Okay, this one. So I always fly. What I do here is I go over this mountain. And then I get low. I get as low as possible so that nobody can see me beyond this cliff. And that usually gives me a disguise. And that's great because now we can use pacifist strats to get this number card. So I'm just going to hover over, sideways splatter, get out right next to her, throw a stun, get back in my helicopter, and peace out before the SAM turrets can even do anything. It's really, really, when it works, it's amazing. Sometimes it doesn't work. You can blow up the SAMs if you want to play it safe before you fly out of here. I find that even if the SAMs are alerted, you can often make an escape here without too much issue. Yeah, I guess Sniper's End, Matthias, again, I keep forgetting to talk about directions. Hopefully you can just kind of follow the directions I'm going in the game. It pays a lot to just familiarize yourselves with the game maps. Like if you just play casually a lot and just kind of pay attention to where you're going. But like after this guy, I fly, let's see, looks like I fly, I just know the map, so I don't even need to think about it, but it looks like I fly toward this like third objective out on the, out on like the edge here. Yeah, it looks like I'm flying more or less right at that. Yeah, I don't know. I guess I would advise if you're struggling with directions, I would just watch my run and like pick a landmark to target for your flying. That's really, I think, the best I can do at this point. I mean, in retrospect, maybe I should have been covering directions more thoroughly, but yeah, the hearts are definitely the ones I know the least about their locations. I mean, I know all of them off the top of my head, but like they would be the hardest for me to remember the hearts. Okay, so then you just fly over here. You really want to fly over here. What you do is you come over here, get down real low near the tracks. That way you're now officially out of all North Koreans' views. Now you need to fly 100 meters to get a disguise. So what I do is I pop up over here and I get into this little area here so that nobody on the road can see me, and I can chill in here and then get a disguise. That's pretty much 100% consistent, and then we're good to go. We're going to fly over here. We're going to go to the south one, then the middle one, then the north one. The king will always be at the last site you check. So the most optimal route is to go to the furthest southern point and then make your way north. There's an officer somewhere around here. I think he might be right there. So I use like kind of this reactor tower thing as my like reference. Actually, no, that's not true. I just fly under the Hind D. That's usually what I do, to make sure, or I guess it looks like I fly over him in this case, to make sure you don't lose your disguise. You need to fly over this reactor to clear it, but you can't really fly on that corner of it or he will see you. You need to be under 150 meters. So it looks like I was at like 145, it looks like there when it triggered. If you're too high up, it won't trigger. So right there, I just triggered that he wasn't at this refinery. And that you really need to take a wide berth here so that you don't lose your disguise. It's very important that you keep your disguise. It is possible to do this without a disguise. It is very difficult. This reactor is really easy to fly over. I usually, I'm at like 115 meters now. You could probably do 120. Just go straight over it. No big deal. And then you come over here. You want to go between these two buildings. Do not shoot him in your helicopter. You don't want to lose your disguise because this SAM turret down here has the angle. Believe it or not, when you're landed here, he has the angle all the way through. I honestly, I look at this and I don't, oh my God. I look at this and I don't really see how he has the angle. I mean, it's like crazy. It's like right through here, but he does. And he will blow up your helicopter if you lose your disguise. So just get out, shoot him. I don't even bother with an animation skip on this guy. I don't use stun here because I'm way too far away from my helicopter usually, and I'm worried about stunning myself. And I don't want to use a frag here because there's a chance the frag will just get chucked over to my helicopter and it'll do a ton of damage. And like this is a split where your helicopter health is very, very important. Now in this case I'm at 94 health, so I probably could have risked it and been fine, but I just usually don't. So just go north, go over this building, and then go back down low, like get back down low, because as you can see, I actually got shot at, but that missile's just going to hit the building, and it's not going to be a problem. So we're just going to go straight north here. We're going to go get the 4 of Spades. She's really easy. She has a Stinger missile, but almost never fires at you. So just get her, land right next to her. You do not need a Stinger missile in this route, so don't bother picking it up. Then, if you're lucky, I got a disguise there. Sometimes you just don't get a disguise. I'm not sure what the deal is there. I have a theory, but it's not really worth getting into. Come over here. Having a disguise is nice here. It's not necessary. If you have a disguise, I try to here. I fail, but I prefer doing a pacifist. Look at me struggling. I prefer to do a pacifist kill because look at what happened there. So if you come in here without a disguise, there is nothing in the tunnel. Or sorry, if you come in here with a disguise, it's only once they get aggroed that the tanks start spawning in that tunnel, and the tanks are pretty dangerous. So if you can do a sideways splatter, then get out and verify before like a tank can even spawn, you can make a really clean getaway here and not even need to worry about it. Otherwise, if you don't have a disguise, I would recommend, you have 2 missiles, I would recommend just blowing them up. If you get an AA unit spawn like I did here, those are not that big of a threat, but if you get one of like the APCs that have the tank cannons, those can be pretty dangerous. So it's good to clear those out to make sure that you don't get like destroyed. And this tank that's sitting here, nobody's in it, so you don't need to worry about that one. Okay, so here you want to get a disguise because there's so much AA. This guy, you can blow him up if you want. It usually doesn't really matter. If you don't blow him up, take a wider angle than I do. Like go over here just to keep it safe. And you should be able to get a disguise while you're flying over this kind of section here. Like this area is pretty good for getting a disguise. I don't know if I do in this run. I do not, this is crazy that I even went for this. I don't get a disguise and I just YOLO it, which is like, honestly, I can't believe I did this. But I guess my thinking was like the gunships here if I need another helicopter, but that was still kind of reckless. You can get a disguise there pretty easily if you just kind of hover around that water. Anyway, so come over here. The number card is always right there. So just go straight for her, shoot her, and then I always shoot the guy in this AA unit just so I don't have him like bombing me while I'm, trying to fly out of here. Stun grenade as usual. And then we just peace out. These SAMs, for some reason, don't usually target you while you're on this little like this plateau. I don't know why. I feel like they have a clean shot and they just don't take it. Maybe that's what I was relying on, was that they just wouldn't shoot me and it worked. But like, yeah, that one's like pretty easy to get away from. Okay, so this part, the number card is there. The number card is always right there, always behind this allied APC. This guy, this North Korean, he will get into the APC fairly quickly. So, and that thing is actually pretty dangerous. So this one you want to get in and get out pretty quickly. Shoot her, land quickly. Don't land so hard that you're like destroying your helicopter, but get in, get out, and you won't have to deal with that. Because if he gets in that, it's got like the auto cannon, and that thing's really deadly. So, and then we're almost done. We only have 1 number card left. And most of these number cards, you don't need to really worry about like which way you head start because you can always land like right next to them. And then this number card, so we actually have an extra stun grenade. The reason I said we could have used it on the king. Because we can use a frag, we can use whatever we want here. We're going to Medivac immediately after this number card. So we definitely have enough grenades to do every card if we wanted to. So ideally, so the number card is always under this little tent here. I usually just shoot her with the chain gun. Ideally, you don't pick up this national treasure because that'll unlock the Chinese scout like that, and that'll waste some time. But I landed in a spot where it wasn't, I just didn't land in a good spot, so. And that's that. Now we're going to Medivac. And what's going to happen here, so you'll notice that the press truck is gone. So like I said, journalists don't spawn in Spade contracts. There's kind of some exceptions to that, and I don't really want to get into exactly how that mechanic works. But in this case, 100% of the time, you will not have a press truck to drive up to the Allied headquarters to accept the ACE contract. So what you want to do is you want to look for a Humvee. They spawn in randomly. So I get one. I always check this first. So I got this one. This one's probably the best one because it's oriented in the right direction and it's close to the player. But they can kind of spawn. There's one there. That's a spawn point. There's one that can spawn right next to where the press truck usually spawns. There's one over there. So there's different spawn points and they just come in randomly. There's usually at least one. I have had it where there are none. And that sucks, but it's almost always, there's usually one, so. Okay, and then here what you want to do is jump out. You want to jump out and just, you know, accept the contract. I might edit it a little, especially like cut out me taking a picture outside of the sunset, but I think for the most part it's just going to go up in the full form. There's no head starting here because you start in a chair. So I spam the Y button here to get out of the tank. Sometimes, I don't even want to say if you do it quick enough because I don't even think that's it. Just sometimes you don't get, it looks like I did get the tank pop up here. Sometimes you don't get that, like if you, I don't know, I don't really get what controls that, to be honest. So I get out of the tank and I just call it straight ahead, straight in line with the tank, and then I turn, because I want it, I turn south. I want it to come in very, very, very specifically from like this area. Because over here, there's like a bunch of mountains, and over, well, yeah, anyway. And this gets it going in the right direction too, which is nice, so. So I fire one missile there. You don't really need to. We need to be out of ammo at the end of this level. So there's a lot of opportunity where you can fire 3 shots from your anti-tank. We're gonna fire 1 every time. So you only need to waste 2 shots. Don't waste both of them at the start, because the safe strat for this relies on the anti-tank launcher. So if you want to waste a shot at the beginning, just waste 1 and then save your the next 2 for later. As for, I haven't mentioned this at all, but as for like getting these guys to not crash, I usually let them, like, see how he's descending a bit? That usually makes the landing a little more stable, and I also bash the crate so that the crate doesn't bop them, and yeah, so. So what we're gonna do here is we're gonna fly, I'm actually flying a little too far right, I think. Yeah, here we go. So I fly usually like over this plateau, and then I go in between this little valley here, and that stops this AA from shooting at you, because he has to relock on and it takes him too long. Then you kind of fly in these, like, in this tree like valley here, and then you start to come up over this cliff. It doesn't really matter if this guy gets a shot off, this SAM turret to your left, because you're going to fly over this mountain anyway. In fact, oh, look at that, he does get a shot off, and it is going to hit the mountain and miss. You want to kind of head toward like these 2 buildings. Usually, actually, I would just say head for the right building, and then you can kind of go, you can go right over it, boop, like that, and kind of fly over here like this. You can take a lot wider of an angle than I do. Like, you can go around this building, and that's like a little bit safer, a little bit easier, but like the fastest is to obviously go as direct as possible. So when you land here, you have to be really mindful of the boxes on your left and the barrels on your right, and also the fact that there's a soldier here. If you like bop into stuff, it's pretty easy to pinball. So I actually did bop into the barrel there, but it looks like I was like, uh-oh, and I lifted off a bit to stop myself from crashing. It's really easy to pinball between these objects and like crash. It's really unfortunate when that happens, because that's more or less like a rip run, because you got to restart the contract. All right, now we just have a long cutscene that we can't skip, unfortunately. We have found a few glitches to do weird stuff in here, but we haven't been able to skip it or exit it or anything like that. Yeah, I mean, we have ideas, but none of them work. I would say they're good ideas. I do not have my anti-tank missiles out right now. Oh, because I had to shoot down the helicopter. So what I do here is I swap right now. So I press the swap button, and immediately then, right here, I already pressed the swap button, and then I get into the helicopter. And that way I have the anti-tank missiles equipped when I get to the final part, which is coming up. So here what you want to do is fly. See on the map, there's the corner here. You're going to be flying right over the corner of that. So that's what you want to be aiming for here. So the way this end sequence works, as soon as you are over any part of this wall at any point of the surrounding structure, as soon as you are within the bounds of these like walls, the timer will be triggered to spawn in the computer that you need to destroy. So as soon as I go, and the music, actually I'll turn it up, the music will change. You'll hear a music cue change here. Right there, you hear that, you know, that thing right there. I'll play it one more time.
And mark song's location on your radar.
Yeah, so like that cue, that music change, that's how you know the timer started. So then what you do is you just kind of fly. You want to stay kind of low here, because you don't want this SAM turret directly ahead of you to be able to target you until the last minute, like until like right now. So now he's trying to target you. This guy on the hill's trying to target you. You just come in here really quick. You get around this corner, stay low, and then no one can see you. There's also a SAM turret over to the right here, so be mindful of that. None of them can see you while you're sitting low here. So you come in here, and because you triggered the timer early, you can almost immediately fly up and shoot this computer. You cannot shoot the computer. The computer might be there. You cannot shoot the computer before it says to shoot the computer. If you do that, you will soft lock the contract, and you know that's a rip run. So you need to wait until it actually tells you to blow up the computer. So I come in, I trigger that timer for the objective update, and then I fly low, and then I come up immediately, fire, and I go right back down. So this is probably the hardest trick in the game. This is the final thing I will say. New runners, do this in your runs, but you're probably going to have to fall back to the backup strat quite often. So you're gonna immediately descend. Don't descend too hard here. You see, I lost. How much health did I lose? Look at that. I went from 100 to. I'll play this in real speed so you can see. I didn't even drop down that quickly, and I lost 35 points because I landed too hard. Look at that. I landed pretty gently, and some of the floors in the game are like, I feel like harder than others. The two of clubs, for example, landing near the two of clubs, I feel like always does a ton of damage to the helicopter. This is another spot like that. You have to land gently here because you probably will need your helicopter if you miss this shot. We're gonna shoot General Song's helicopter. Oops, it's not even playing. General Song's helicopter is going to spawn in right now. Yep, there it is. There it is on the map. And what we're going to do is we're going to line up. This is how I do it. You can do it if you find a way that works for you. That's fine. Obviously, it's probably easiest to just copy what I've figured out. I try to go for that cross on the ground there, the meeting point between the 4 tiles. I stand on that, and then when I'm on that pretty much perfectly. I like to take a little bit of a step forward so you can see, because you can't see your feet. So I never really, like, am I on it right now, or do I need to step forward? Anyway, so then what I try to do is I line up my head, the middle of my head, right where the corner of the wall is. And I'm not even perfectly lined up here. Honestly, this is not, you don't need to get this perfect. What you need to get perfect is your timing firing the missile. So you line up your head here, and then you look as high up as you can, all the way up. And then as soon as Fiona says, go get Song, when she says the word get, that's when I fire. Yeah, that's that. I actually bulked here. I thought I missed. I thought I got the timing wrong. So I started running back to my scout helicopter, and then I realized I got it, and then I went to go get him. But this strat is amazing because we can kill him at the exact moment he passes into these 4 walls. So like some people have been like, whoa, can you kill him even earlier? Can you kill him like when he's like back over, over here on the map or whatever? And yeah, I mean, maybe. But then you would have to get back into your helicopter and fly over the wall, right? In this way, we can, while he's falling from the sky, we can run over to his body. And if I had just started running immediately, I would already be over his body right now. I'd be verifying him, and we'd be done. Right, and like that is literally like the slickest. I don't think it's possible to be any faster here. So anyway, let's play this back at normal speed with volume so you can see kind of how I do it.
He's launched the missiles! Oh, no, you've destroyed the computer. There's no way to stop the missiles now. Stay focused. An AN extraction team is on its way for Kim. Now go get Song.
Too late. Too late. It's too late. Oh, I got him! I got him! I got him! Too bad I bailed. Wow. As you can tell, I was pretty surprised and excited for getting that. That was the first run I've ever gotten the spawn kill in, and it was a really good run. So it was like, I'd been practicing that for a while and trying to get it during runs, but it never panned out. Okay, so now let's get into the safe strat here. I didn't actually download my video, unfortunately, so let's just watch my other records.
He's launched the missile! Oh, no, you've destroyed the computer. There's no way to stop the missiles now. Stay focused. An AN extraction team is on its way for Kim. Now go get Song.
This is your fault, Mr. Yours and yours alone.
My reaction. So yeah, so you just fly over here. You gotta be kind of careful with the AA that's in the fence there. Like, make sure you fly quickly over there, and then just get on this side of the wall. You don't need to blow that up. I'm doing that for no reason. Get out of your helicopter, come over here, and this is why you want to have an extra AT missile. So you have that extra, you have an extra one, and normally you would fire that off after you get the spawn kill, and so that you have no ammo, and you can do the trick at the end, which I'll talk about in a second. But you want to leave one just in case you need to do this, which is you come over here and just shoot them. Just shoot them normally. It's pretty easy. So then what you do here...
The chase is over. You're finished soon.
Colonel Garrett is going to be happy to hear about this.
So once Fiona's done saying that line, you fire your empty weapon, and that'll skip the final line of dialogue from the mercenary and end the game. Yeah. All right. So that is that, I think. I think that's the whole run. I don't think there's too much else to talk about. Oh, there is one thing. Make sure, you don't need to do this. It's not required, but I just don't know why you wouldn't do this. At this screen, you don't need to save, but continue. Like, get to the credits, you know, let the credits play out. You can speed up the credits by holding down the, well, you can skip this by pressing A, but you can speed up these credits by holding down the A button, or the X button, or whatever, and get your in-game time. You know, the runs are timed using real time, but, and I think it's always going to be like that, but there's really no reason to not just get the in-game time and post it. It's at least an interesting statistic. It always kind of peeves me when people don't just, like, the only time when I feel like it's like, all right, I get it, is if you're doing like New Game Plus and you forgot to write down the time at the end of your run. So like in that case, it's like, okay, yeah, I get it. Like you know, that takes actually a decent amount of like thinking in advance. But like for otherwise, like, you know, sit through the credits, get your in-game time, and, you know, so you can post that on speedrun.com. And that is it. Any lingering questions? Class? Oh, that's actually that's a good question, Matthias. Let me rewind to that to kind of show you what I mean. It looks like I'm firing at a different time than I am, and that's just because of how the game like works.
Wait. Now go get...
So I'm already firing. The animation just hasn't started. So like she says get, and then animation starts, right? So that's what I mean when I say fire when she says get. I mean pull the trigger when she says get.
for Kim. Now go get some.
And, you know, maybe it is during song, maybe it is during go, like go get song. I don't know exactly, but I in my head, because it's not perfect, right? I'm going to pull the trigger when I hear, and there's some time delay between when I hear something and my brain does something and my finger does it, and then, you know, whatever. I like to pull the trigger when Fiona says get. That's how I think about it. This is like a really, really, really narrow window here where you can hit him. So like you're gonna have to practice this. Like if you want to get this during runs, you're gonna have to do. And the thing that sucks is that you have to do the entire freaking contract and sit through that cutscene over and over and over again, which I did. I put in the work to make sure I could do this semi-reliably. I'm, giving you guys at least a really good head start of like, these are the tricks I use. Like I took a long time to figure out where do I want to stand, how do I want to aim, like what things do I want to line up, at what point of Fiona's dialogue do I want to pull the trigger. Like this took dozens and dozens of tries. So this is how I do it. I would recommend just doing it how I do it and just getting good at it that way rather than trying to work out your own strategy, unless you have an emulator. If you have an emulator, you can use save states and you can practice this over and over and over again until you get it, to a point that you like it. All right, thanks guys. I'm gonna call it a day. Let me know if you have any other questions in the Discord, and hopefully I can get this out on YouTube sometime tonight, but it'll probably take a long time to upload. So, adios.